This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, the purpose of this video is to show you how to locate the full text of articles whenever you're searching. Sometimes it's easy to find the full text by just clicking on the HTML full text or the PDF full text, and other times it's a little bit trickier because you need to use a linker. So I'm using the Academic Search Premier database, which is an EBSCO database, through the Saybrook library site, and I'm going to use the topic of mindfulness in schools. And then those are my two keywords that I'm going to use. They're linked with and in between because I want to find articles that include both. I'm going to go ahead and click search. And then what I can do is look through this list. I get over 2,000 articles to look through. If I just wanted all full text articles, I could come over here to the left-hand side to the limiters and limit to just full text over here. You'll notice I could put a check mark in that box. I'm not going to do it here for this example, but I did want to point it out to you. The reason that you might use the full text is if you're down to your last day or if you don't have a whole lot of time to do your research in, then you might want to go ahead and get the full text that way. Most of the time, though, I would recommend not clicking on full text because that limits your results that you get. It limits the number of different types of sources, different types of articles you might be able to look at, ones that might be relevant, you might be leaving out of your list, and several of these articles that are listed, and even in this list, even if you can't get the full text in Academic Search Premier, you can still get the full text through a different Saybrook library site or database, a different Saybrook database. So if I look through this list, just to give you an example, most of these do not offer the full text right here in this database. Here is an example number 10 that does. It offers HTML full text or PDF full text. So if I thought this article might be interesting to my research, what I could do is click on the HTML or the PDF, and then I could read the full article because it is offered in this database. Now, HTML doesn't have quite the same features as the PDF does. So I always recommend looking at the PDF because it's more of the copy from the journal. It should have the page numbers and tables and images, and anything that was included in the actual article in the actual journal should be in the PDF, as opposed to HTML that often leaves some of that kind of information or some of those resources out. So I always recommend the PDF. Now, if I look through this list, what I could do is I'm going to use this first one as an example and click on this check for full text. If we click on check for full text for this first one, then it links up, and look, it found it in Science Direct. So it did find the full text of this article, even though it was not in Academic Search Premier. Here it didn't give us the HTML or the PDF full text. We clicked on this check for full text. We used the linker, and it linked us up into this other database. Here's the article. I could scroll through it and read it right here, or notice up here at the top there is a download PDF. All of these databases are set up a little bit differently, so just know that you need to look through and find somewhere that of where you should download the article, and this particular one is right here. So there's one example of an article that had I clicked full text, it would have gone away because this Academic Search Premier doesn't offer the full text, but a different Saybrook database does. So that's one reason why you wouldn't necessarily want to click to just use full text articles, because you might miss out on resources we have elsewhere. Now I'm going to use this number 5 and this is an example. Here's another one. We don't have the HTML, we don't have the PDF, nothing is provided in this particular database, but again, we can use this linker to check for full text. Now you'll notice this one did not link up into any other Saybrook library databases. So some people might think that they're out of luck here, but instead what you can do, and the next step that I always take, is I like to copy the title and then open up a new tab and go to Google Scholar. And then if I look in Google Scholar, I paste that title in that I'd copied from this previous screen here. And if I paste that in, I can search for that article. Now notice here that it looks over here on the right like we have the HTML version offered. And if I click on that particular version, then it allows me to, there's an option to download a PDF over here, or I can scroll through and read the article here. And this is then freely available through Google Scholar through the web, and I could read the article here. Now, sometimes you have to be careful because sometimes the articles are not available. If they are available freely online, they may not be the authentic copy. Sometimes they're the preprint of the article, and maybe they don't include all of the editor's notes and things that were changed by various people like the editors or a peer review staff. So you have to be careful if you get an article. This one is freely available because you'll notice here it says it's open access. So that means that it is freely available to everyone on the web. So just because you get stopped here doesn't mean that you might not want to check Google Scholar, because that's my next step for checking different places. Now, if I go back to this list, there were two different examples. And again, there's that number 10 right here, which does offer the full text. And if I give you one more example in this video, you might look at this number 13. Again, no PDF full text, no HTML full text. So what I can do is click here to check for full text. Again, it's going to try to link up into the other Saybrook databases. Again, it doesn't find it. So what I can do again is copy that title. Again, I can go back into Google Scholar just like we did in the previous example, and I can paste this new title in and search for it. Now you'll notice over here on the right, it does not this time. It doesn't provide me with a link. It doesn't provide me with with a free copy of this. If a free copy was available, it would be over here on the right-hand side, and I could click on it. Also, a neat feature in Google Scholar is you can link up Google Scholar to the Saybrook Library site, the library links. And if you have questions about that, then let your instructor or a librarian know, and someone can guide you through that. But the link would be over here for the Saybrook Library if this was available through Saybrook, but it's not. So we are kind of striking out now on this particular article. It wasn't available in Academic Search Premier as a PDF or an HTML full text. We used the linker. It didn't link up into any other Saybrook library databases. We checked Google Scholar for a free version. None of those have worked. So what our next step would be for you to scroll down and click on where it says Saybrook users use the article request form. And so that would be your next step, is to request this article. And you need to make sure to give the librarians a few days to get your article, because sometimes it can take a little while for them to locate which library has it and then to actually retrieve it from that library. So make sure you give some time in order to fill your request. But otherwise, that is your next step in how you would get the article. So you were given several examples here on how to check for full text and how to use the linker. But if you do have questions, don't hesitate to ask your instructor or contact a librarian. Thanks for watching.